If you haven't listened to the first part of this video, zip back, have a little look at that. They're the first 4 lessons that I learned during my preparation and completion of my first ultra. So lesson number 5, recovery. Now, due to the fact that I was running, when I ran my first ultra, it was the end of a culmination of events, challenge events. So I did 4 events, finishing with the ultra. Now, obviously recovery was going to be essential, not only between training sessions, but also between events. So the first and probably most important part of recovery, aspect of recovery, is sleep. Now, I was able to get between 7.5 and 8 hours every week, and then of a weekend I was able to get 8 hours. I was able to sleep in a bit. However, if you've got a fitness tracker or something like that, you'll notice it's not how long you spend in your bed that's important. Obviously, if you can get to bed early, that's brilliant, but it's the quality of your sleep. Now, I found I was in bed more than 8 hours, but I'd look at my tracker and find that the visit to the loo in the evening, in the night time, and the times I was tossing and turning actually led to only about 7.5. So be aware of that. Also, develop a really good sleep routine to help get good quality sleep. So a couple of things I did: I stopped screens an hour before. I'd read that helped. I also found that going to bed and then having a little read helped me to get to sleep quicker. But when you're training, you often you don't even need that. And also cutting out on caffeine, which is one of my vices. So cutting that out quite a way before bedtime is really important. This is where you build when you're sleeping, not when you're training, but when you're recovering. Now, stretching, let's go over this little mound. Now, stretching has always been important to me in my training, but being an older athlete, stretching has become absolutely essential just to keep my legs moving. So foam rolling, lots of stretching, playing it into your time, extremely important. I'd have probably done more stretching in hindsight, because of the increase in mileage. It did go on the back burner a bit, but I did have opportunities when I was sitting in front of the TV in the evenings. I could have stretched, but I didn't. Maybe that's a lesson I've learned again. Wind picking up a bit. Hope you can hear me. Also with stretching, particularly as an older athlete, with the long distances you're running, your muscles become sore, you get little niggles. The important thing is to keep on top of them. Rolling them out with a ball or with a foam roller, self-massage, but keeping on top of them is absolutely essential to keep you running. Because ultra running is all about consistency, and the recovery and keeping you away from injuries is paramount. I'm going to lose my hat in a minute. Nutrition is also important to recovery. Nutrition and hydration. Now, one of the things I did learn was I would have paid certainly a lot more attention to what I was eating and drinking on a day-to-day basis. And I think in hindsight, I would weigh myself before some runs and after a run, just to ensure that I'm understanding how much fluid I'm losing, and also to keep a check on my calorie intake, because it can creep up on you. Nutrition, great for recovery, because if you're not using those nutrients, you're not recovering, and your body needs those extra nutrients to recover. The final thing I'd like to talk about are ice baths. Now, I've never been an advocate of having too many ice baths, because I think the body's so great at adapting, and I think having ice baths can affect that adaptation process. But because I was doing 4 events, the 2 times I did use ice baths were after the second event, which was my first full marathon, and that was really just so that I could get back into training afterwards. It was a quick way of recovering. And then the second time I used it was after the ultra, to recover, because my legs were very, very sore. Good morning. Lesson number 6. Don't be afraid to walk. When you come to your ultra, don't be afraid to walk. As long as you're going forwards, that's important. Now, you can get really strategic, and I did on the uphill. I found the sorts of gradients where I could run a lot easier without stretching myself, but some gradients, it's just not worth your energy levels to try and run them. You go just as quick walking up them. So it's important to become strategic. You know, some of the steep climbs, walk them. Put your hands on your knees, stride them out. Running, you could certainly use a lot more energy. Now, one of the mistakes I did make was coming downhill. Probably got carried away with the ultra and the fun of it. I get up a hill, come down a really steep hill, and run it almost like a 5 miles cross-country race, freewheeling, coming down quite quickly, and I paid for that a lot later with my legs. So take those downhills steady, try not to brake, because that also will blow your thighs, but certainly be strategic up and down hills. Use them in training. Try out a few hills. What ones are you good? You know, some of these slow gradient ones, run them. 10% ones, walk them. Lesson number 7, be adaptable. And the very nature of an ultra race is so much can change. Now, I trained for 100k in the height of summer, so I was expecting it to be very, very hot. So I had 2 500 milliliter bottles, one with a electrolyte fluid in and one with a carbohydrate drink, and I also carried a Camelback hydration pouch, which could carry up to 2 litres. I filled it with a litre and a half. I also planned on changing my shoes at 50k, because I'd heard that feet swell and you get hot spots. After 25k, weather wasn't as hot as I was expecting, which was great, and so I ditched the Camelback. Aid stations were so well stocked, and you could pick up so much fluid and refill. I didn't need to carry it. I didn't drink enough between aid stations. Check that on your first ultra. what are the aid stations like. But you know, don't be afraid to change your plans. As for the trainers, I didn't change my trainers at halfway. I had no hot spots. My feet felt great, and I thought, why change something that's working? I did change my socks, which gave me a little boost. But if I was running anything longer than 100k, then certainly you would need a pair of trainers that are slightly bigger, because by the end of the 100k my feet had swollen a little bit, and I would never have been able to get my shoes back on if I'd have taken them off. So it's something to think about. My old university lecturer used to say, remember the 6 P's. Perfect planning prevents piss poor performance. I hope this has helped you in thinking about your own planning for maybe your first ultra. It'd be lovely to hear how you get on in your first ultra, particularly if it's your first ultra or any ultra. You know, put them in the comments below. Helps to motivate all of us in trying to better ourselves in some way, and to achieving a big goal like running an ultra marathon. Stay safe.